And we are live. What is going on, everyone? It's Alonna with 570 Press. It's been a hot minute since I've talked with everyone. A little bit of a podcast hiatus, but I'm back. And tonight we are talking with Russ from Etched and Embers. Super excited about this one. How are you doing tonight?
Good. Glad to be with you.
Glad to have you. So let's just jump right on into it. So first off, how did you get into playing music?
I've been a lifelong musician, played instrument in middle school up through high school, and was playing in my first band before I graduated. So it just kind of grew from there, battle the bands types things, and then club gigs, right after school. So, and it was anything from original to cover band music, up in St. Louis area, just playing around there doing the cover band thing. But, this is one of many, many projects that I've been involved in.
Nice. So you said the St. Louis area, but you guys are based on the West Coast now, correct?
No, we're actually in Missouri, mid-Missouri, Lake of the Ozarks.
Oh, okay.
Yep, right in the heart of the country.
I know that there was like the time zone shift because it's almost 9 o'clock here because I'm in Pennsylvania.
Right. Yeah, I knew that's where you were at, and it is 7 or 8 o'clock here, so we're central.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, we're central part of the state. We have a lot of people out on the fans out on the west or the East Coast in your area up through that region. It was part of our fan group Ignite, the Etched and Embers Igniters on Facebook. There's quite a few of them from that area.
Nice. Yeah.
So we hope to make it out there.
Oh yeah, for sure. We'd love to have you. I mean, it's pretty nice out here. It's it's a mix. It's urban and rural, but I imagine it's like that everywhere.
It is. I mean, we're in a very tourist heavy area around the lake here. Some people connect us with the show Ozark every time we tell them where we're from. And it was based off here. The first episode that when Jason Bateman's standing out over the cliff edge, that's just about 2 miles from my house here.
Wow.
So, but we're nothing like that really, in the sense that show is much more rural. And this is a pretty heavy area with a lot of music venues and shopping and things like that, entertainment type stuff. So we are getting a casino, oddly enough. The show was based around a casino finally coming into the lake area, and it's happening. I don't know if the show had anything to do with that, but it's pretty rural out here. You can drive 5 miles in any direction. You can hit farms and back roads and things. So it's a pretty rural location.
Nice. Yeah, and I understand what you're saying about like the touristy thing. Now I am 40 plus minutes outside of Scranton, but that's what like Scranton is known for The Office. Like as soon as you say Scranton, they're like, oh, Dunder Mifflin, because the Scranton sign like was actually used like, and some of the filming locations were actually in Pennsylvania for The Office. And I'm like, yeah, kinda. So like I said, I'm like in a rural like small city, like 40 miles or more from Scranton. So I'm kind of like, yeah, kind of by there, but not really.
Right. Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, we're kind of the central, in between three, mid-sized to major cities, and we just kind of tell everybody we're from all of them. So
yeah. I mean, it makes the most sense. It makes the most sense. If people recognize it, it works.
Yep.
So, for people who do not know, what is your role in the band Etched and Embers?
I'm the singer and rhythm guitar player. And was the original founding member with my now lead guitarist, who was originally on drums in a test lineup of the project back in 2019. So the band is really, this lineup has only been together for just over a year, about 16 months or so. But it was just, something I formed really in 2020, the beginning of 2020, right before everything kind of shut down. So band's new in my eyes. We've turned out, I think, 7 or 8 singles or releases. And I'm happy where we're at. We've done well in that time. So, but yeah, it's me on lead vocals and rhythm guitar, Tyler Kenyon on lead guitar and backup vocals, Chance Rodenizer on bass and screams essentially, and Christian Bowles on drums.
Nice. Nice. So you said that it's been like a little bit over a year that you guys were together, but prior to that, you mentioned that you founded the band with your lead guitar. So about how long has that been? Like, how long have you guys been
That
like,
was
you
mid
know?
2019, mid 2019. So
Okay.
it was a lead up to the lineup that we had at the beginning of 2020, and we parted ways with that drummer and bass player just because they were working musicians in several projects around the area we're from. Scheduling was conflicting, so it just kind of was a mutual separation with direction of what we were doing. We were looking more on the national side of things and radio and such. So it was just a mutual deal, and went about 3 months. It's just me and Tyler, and then we did auditions and found Christian and Chance to fill those roles.
Nice, nice. So you kind of just got everyone all together. Almost, it kind of sounds like, by accident, like finding everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Tyler and I knew. Well, there's kind of some stuff in there too. Tyler and I knew each other from a previous project back in 2014, 2015.
Right.
Um, and a lot of people are finding out. We didn't really put it out there, but it is out there now that Chance, my bass player, is my son.
Oh,
So,
wow.
he come in, and a lot of people thought we were brothers, and we just kind of played it off and really didn't talk much about it or anything. And it wasn't why he got the job. He's a musician, in his own right, and we had auditioned a few people, and he plays guitar and has his own little project as well. So it just kind of seemed to work out, and I'm glad it did because it's been a whole different dynamic, and he's taken on a lot of roles in the band that helped take some of the pressure off me as the kind of business side of things, and running social media and such. So it's nice to have that spread out amongst people in the band.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, no, I completely understand that. I used to be in a band, and like we separated for similar reasons as to how you said your original lineup was,
Yep.
but we were all like pulling our weight. Like somebody would post on Facebook one day, somebody would do this the next day. Like it was all equal. And I think it just works so much better when you do that.
Yeah, and it's a lot to take in social media. You have to somewhat be a master of it, even though you try to be the master of your musicianship, but you have to wear so many hats in this day and age of being an artist as well as a social media master and with the entertainer side and a business manager. There's a
Yep.
lot that goes into it. And, this is an investment. It's not just a hobby.
Mhm.
Most musicians that take it seriously, that's what it is for them. So it's a lot of work. And I was talking to a gentleman today that we were stressing how much stress and anxiety is involved in being an artist. So yeah, but it's nice to have that. And the more business side of people you have in the band, I think the more successful you could be. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So you guys recently released your single and the music video for Fear.
Yes.
So what was the songwriting process for that like?
Um, Fear was one of the newer tunes. We have a backlog of tunes from Tyler and I's previous project when we wrote together in the mid 20, that 2014, 2015 era. And Chance writes as well. And then I write. I release solo songs as well under the name Rodenizer. I haven't put out a ton of them, but I dropped an acoustic CD back in 2014, just all original stuff. Um, so Fear was a new song instead of something that we had in the past. We were kind of reworking for a modern edge or just kind of revamping it. We had went in the studio and we had always done more radio. We're a heavier band than what our early releases would put out there. And that with some of the new releases, people see that, but um, we went into the studio in March of 21 and decided to go with a drop tuning on a song. And it was the first song we did. And that was Bring Me Back. So when we come out of the studio, honestly, we were looking to write other songs in that key. So as many bands tell you, they play in many different keys, and it used to be a pain to manage and switch guitars. So we were kind of in a race to write some songs in that key, and Fear came about quick like that. And it was just based off of a lot of pent up frustration with being, kind of boarded up in our homes, so to speak. And as we return to normal, which I think a lot of people are still struggling with in our area anyway, there's a lot of fear out there for people to get back to their normal lives. And that's kind of where it came from. Um, as far as the lyrical content was just like, let's all get out there and live our lives. Let's return to normal. And we're here to live. So let's live a little.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I agree. And what stuck out to me was what you said, that a lot of people I think are still afraid to get back to their normal lives. I completely agree with that. You turn on any news station, and to me, it always seems like there's something new. If it's not a new pandemic, it's a new crisis. And, a lot of times, that's toxic to take in. So I agree with you. You just got to live your life and just, enjoy what you can.
It is, and some of it's intentional, and in the ways that the media, that's their job, and fear sells, and disruption sells, and years and years ago we just didn't see it ever. It's been there. It's
Right.
not that it's not been there. It's just we have access to it all now, and there's so many screens in our lives, and we're just consumed with that information, and there's really just the news and different takes on the news and opinions, and I think it affects us all with our mentality. And I know a news break away from it and a social media break has done me wonders recently, just to step away from it all and just kind of think about why I'm really here and how many days I may have left, and how I want to live those days. So,
Mhm. So that being said, who are some musical influences for you?
I get asked this question a lot, as the band does, and we always get kind of stumbled up on it. It's tough because I go way back to the era of Rush being my favorite band. I mean, I listened to them nonstop in the 2112 era, and then I listened to a lot of things that were kind of British rock and stuff like Accept, and just bands that nobody really heard of, along with the things like Judas Priest and stuff. That
Yeah.
everybody did know. But as I tend to not really get sick of music, but I crave new music. So I move through the ranks and go to bands that I love now. So I mean, in those aspects, I'd say bands like Saul and Wage War, Memphis May Fire. Those are big influences in my current writing or what I listen to. A lot
Right.
of not up and coming bands really killing it out there, and I'm fans of all of them for the work they're putting in.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And you mentioned Accept. I'm so glad to hear them getting some love because I love them. I grew up with them. My mom loves them. And I feel like they don't get nearly as much love as I feel they should because they are
No.
excellent.
Oh yes. I mean, I had cassette tapes, if that gives away anything, but yeah, I had, the old Columbia House Music or Columbia Music Club or whatever it was, where you get 10 cassettes for a penny or join the club. Those were a lot of Accept tapes coming in for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like I said, and a lot of up and coming bands, they're killing it. I
Yeah.
mean, and I always say this, these genres come back around. Like 3 years ago, like country was dominating. Now to see rock and metal making such an in-your-face comeback, and like the up and coming bands are fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, and everybody's doing a good job out there of doing their thing, and
Right.
it's easier for us to get music out there. It's a competitive market. Bands always say, well, or people always say it's not a competition amongst bands, but we all want everybody's ears, and we want to earn respect of the other musicians out there. So I just see, we cross paths with so many bands that are incredible bands, and they just don't have a large footprint on the national scene. I mean, I feel we're one of them.
Right.
And we're striving for that recognition and that next level up. But we do see a lot of them, bands that just blow our minds out there in little clubs when we're just on a 3 or 4 band bill, and it's killer. Rock and roll is alive. I don't care what people say. It's out there, and
Mhm.
I think it's thriving more than it did before the pandemic, even because
Oh
people
yeah.
found out what it was like without it. So
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I agree with that because, as I said, couple years ago, you had like the country dominating, and then you had like people like Bring Me the Horizon, and they did that weird like techno hip hoppy lo-fi mix,
yeah.
and now they're going back into rock too. So it's coming back around, and it's so awesome to see.
Yeah. I don't mind, the Bring Me Horizon thing. I don't mind bands having fun,
Hmm.
and people get so upset about that. Um, I love it when bands mix it up a little bit. So when they were cranking out tune after tune after tune, I was kind of interested, like, well, what's going to be next? So it kept
Yeah.
me involved a little bit. But even bands like Highly Suspect, I hear people complaining about their sound and this and that, and that the new album doesn't sound like the old Highly Suspect. And I just think they wrote a strong album on the whole. You take it as a unit instead of compared to their past. So it's tough as a band to go through. We're compared even to bands. We're like, what? How do you get that?
Yeah.
I don't think I sound like anybody vocally or anything like that. But the writing, I purposely don't listen to things at times because I don't want it to influence what I'm write or what I write. But we get in with the producer and work, and then things kind of come together in the sound. I credit our producer with our sound, and with helping us find a niche. But if you listen to the early stuff, it's pretty much more just straight up rock and roll, guitar riffy based stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah. So how did you come up with the name Etched in Embers? Very catchy name.
That was written down on a piece of paper probably 7 or 8 years ago. And I had a list of when we formed a band that Tyler and I were initially in back then. I had written down about probably 75 names on some sheets of paper. And when we got in the room talking about this project, it was on that sheet of paper, and I read down it, and there it was. So when I said it, the band liked it. We Googled it immediately. There were no bands named that. We did later find out there was an art studio with Etched in Embers. And we've talked with her, and she's an amazing artist. And I think it's pyrography with burning and charcoal and things like that. So it kind of plays off the embers words as well. And we're hoping to get her to do some merch for us. But she goes around, does the curiosities, the oddities and curiosities expos across the country, sells her art, and does some amazing stuff. So, we'll shout out her as well. But I think we've helped each other having a similar name. That's why we took music on Facebook. And then we got .net on for our .com or our .net, I guess I should say. So etchedembers.net. But so it's we get a lot of comments on the name. It would hurt me terribly if we ever had to change it. So I think we've kind of that we've met in the middle there with the similar named artists. But like I said, they're not a band. They're in the art world. So but yeah, we get a lot of compliments on it. And as soon as I had my graphics guy Nick Gray do up the logo, I was sold. I was like, all right, I love it. So yeah, that's. Because sometimes you'll pick 3 or 4 band names and then have some logos made up and see which one really is the most striking. So
yeah, definitely. I completely agree with that. And I feel like sometimes you'll be dead set on a name and then you'll see the logo. You're like, no, I don't like that.
Yeah. Yep. I'm going all the way back to when we used to paint our logos on big sheets with spray paint cans, and we'd get a name and think it was cool and do a logo. And we're like, oh man, we'd change our name 5 times, 10 times before we finally got one that was worth keeping. So
yeah, exactly. And then it's like, who are we today? Well, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I remember at one point I wanted to name a band Front Page News. And I thought it was the most killer thing. And then I'm thinking, boy, they Google that and we will be buried in a sea of news stories. You just wouldn't find it online. So that's really key too, is thinking about what that Google search is going to bring up. So
yeah, exactly. And like when I was in a band, we were called Smoked and Acid, and it was a play on like the acid cigar. But like looking back now, I'm like, wow, I wonder what people would actually think if they Googled that. Like, what is going to come up for that?
Not smoke and acid, but smoke and acid, right? Okay, I got you.
Yeah, it happened because like we were at this barbecue, my lead singer and my dad was there, and he was smoking a cigar, and I said, what is that? It smells good. He goes, I'm smoking acid. And me and my singer looked at each other, we're like, that's the name. And now I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not.
Too late now.
Yeah, exactly. We already released like 1 song under that name. So, I mean, I guess it is the name, but not anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's set in stone. It's written in history.
Yeah, exactly. So who would be some bands that you would like to either collaborate with or tour with or both? And they can be up and coming or like already international.
We have talked to actually some people about collaboration. I can't give away who we have spoken with and gotten real serious about doing a collaboration with, but I know it's probably a household name for everybody. And we actually been in the talks with it for almost a year. It was just a choice of which song, and we shot out a batch of them to him, and he chose a song we didn't think he'd choose, and we didn't think it was a single. So we're like, well, let's rethink this because we don't want to burn that opportunity. But as far as touring, we want to tour with Saul, but we'd love to tour with Any Given Sin guys. There's a lot of bands that are, just are signed or on the verge of being signed. Guys like Kingdom Collapse would be great. We've talked with the Sleep Signals, which is a band that they're recovering after an accident they had that was pretty tragic for them, where some of their members were hurt pretty severely. So, but there's no shortage of the list of if somebody called who we would go on the road with. So I could talk till tomorrow morning about bands we would be happy to tour with. We just played with Dropout Kings. Those guys were awesome. Just such a killer vibe at the show. Would love to go on tour with them.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, our first, we were going to do a national tour run with Saul. We had been in a competition with them back in October 21, or they hosted a competition called Looking to Fight, which was a battle of the bands from bands across the country. And we won that. and the prize for that was a national tour run with Saul. But as music business goes, they got caught up in some issues with booking, and it needed to get back in the studio and record label and stuff like that. Management, you name all that kind of stuff. I don't know the details, but I just know that it happens, and so that's been pushed back. We did Souther Slam with them September 3rd, which is their big annual event they put on. That was kind of the kickoff for their return. That was the first show they played this year. But they're going to be hitting the road, and we might tag along for a few of those, hopefully. But yeah, you'll see us out and around. We've got shows booked out to March 23rd next year, where we're in Las Vegas at Apocalypse in the Desert. So there's quite a few shows in between. We haven't turned loose the schedule after the first of the year, but right in front of us is getting out back in the studio and tracking some more songs. That's going to happen next month. So.
Nice. So excited for that. And hopefully you guys will make it out this way to Pennsylvania, because we'd love to come see you guys.
We are definitely planning a run up that direction. Hopefully just, about a 7 or 10 day run, something where we get hit, St. Louis up to Chicago into Ohio area, and just kind of make our way up to the Maryland, Boston area up in there.
Yeah. Nice. That would be awesome. And as I said, I'll keep an eye out. I'd love to come and see you guys, because you guys are great. I was blown away when I heard Fear. I mean, I haven't heard anything like that in a while, but I'm somebody, I listen to the same, 10 to 12 bands. I listen to the same 10 to 12 songs. So when I hear something like that, I'm like, whoa, that's new. I like that.
Well, good. We were trying to grab people with the verses in there I love, and the chorus is just huge. And like I said, I got to credit our producer with really nailing that and bringing the vision home for what it was. Song was we knew when we got done in the studio with it that it was something we felt was pretty special. So
yeah. So that is all I have for you for tonight. Is there anything that you would like to add? Where can people find you? What can we expect from Etched and Embers in the future?
New single coming soon, maybe within a month. We are kind of testing some ideas with the launch of that. So that's the most upcoming thing. We'll be back in the studio. If you want to keep up with us, etchedandembers.net is the best way to see everything. And we try to get on the regular. If there's not a whole lot to share, we won't change it up every day, but we don't just blast people with mailing, with emails and things either. So, but you can get on the mailing list there to get updates and new tunes, big concerts, things like that. We always tell people numbers: Spotify, YouTube subscribers, Spotify followers, Instagram followers, all of it, Twitch or Twitter followers. Those are the numbers that matter, that help us break down some of those doors as an independent band that's fairly new on the circuit. So the faster those go up, the better we are. So we always plead with people just to hit those things and to join us for the ride. So.
Hell yeah. Super excited for the new single, and can't wait to hopefully catch you guys in the future at a show.
All right. Well, I appreciate you having me.
Of course. I appreciate you hanging out and talking and being my first podcast back in at least 2 months. So.
Well, I'm glad you're back. It's sometimes we need a little break. I hope it was planned and not unplanned. So.
Yeah, it was definitely planned.
Well, good for you. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yep. Have a good night.
You too.